Good evening, everyone. Tonight's March 9th, Monday. It is about 7:10 p.m. We're going to have a quorum for tonight's Finance Committee, which is the first in a while now. And tonight, we're talking about the budget deficit that we're currently in. We received some state aid numbers. We received an estimated Silver Lake assessment based on the first draft of their budget. So that is not in the updated sheet right now. We don't have an updated sheet containing that assessment, though we did receive the email from Charlotte, so we can just plug in the number today. So up first on the agenda is mail. We didn't get any mail. Reserve fund transfers, we didn't receive any. Approval of meeting minutes, and then we have our first appointment. It's already Keith Swanson's here from the water department, so why don't we just go right into Keith's budget. This is old. So I will admit that I am the liaison to the water department and have not talked to the water department. So
on line 96.
Line 96. Old one. Okay, so the first line is line 96. It's water hyphen superintendent salary. So it has a 2.5% increase for a total increase of $1,659. Is that?
Was that going?
Steps.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Was that my step increase?
Yeah.
Okay, that was my step increase, December 1, is what that was.
And just so everyone's aware, the water department spending is paid out of the water department retained earnings.
Retained earnings, yeah.
Okay, so the next line is line 97, which is water wages, which is a 2.6% increase. And I'm assuming that one steps as well.
Yes, it was for the man who replaced me at the garage door.
Okay. The next line is water clerical. It's a $154 increase. Is that longevity?
That's a day.
It's a day. Okay.
We have an extra day this year. We're up to 262 days because it's a leap year. So you'll see a lot of the wage lines doing that.
Okay. And then line 99 water supply. That's a $6,800 increase.
Is that that is for electricity, I believe. That's for the 25% increase that we're assuming we're gonna have to pay.
Anybody has any questions? Actually, stop. Okay, so line 100 is water distribution, and that is no longer funded that way. Line 101 is water insurance. So that has an increase of $1,037. $1,037.
Is that the health, I believe?
That's all of his insurance. It's his, the property, the tower, all of their
Oh,
liability
okay.
insurance that they cover. And Charlie sort of feeds them figures on that, so. The vehicles and.
Okay.
Yeah, Gordon, do you have, it's right here on what that covers? I don't know if you have that or not. It's right here. Let me see. Let me see what it is.
Jumps.
Nikki does
Oh,
it
there's
first.
nothing. Oh, it's everything.
Yep.
It's liability insurance and health, dental, life, it's all together. Oh, okay.
So the biggest increase being health, dental, and life.
Oh. Why is that the only number in there? It must be the only one that changed.
Yeah.
I think that's the way they did it, they just put in the number with the
Where it
the
changed.
change, they anticipated
So
the
that's a,
change.
so, okay. Okay.
Alright,
Line 102 is retirement. It's a $2,000 increase. So I'm assuming that's because it's up from Plymouth County, right?
yep.
Jamie, is that just an estimate? Is that what that is? 'Cause
That is
we
an
don't
estimate.
really know what it's going
Right.
to be.
Right.
Yeah, we don't know what exactly it's going to be, but we need to have the money there.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you remember, we fund 46,000 of it, up the general line item from water.
Yeah.
And then we put in this amount, the 13,000 for whatever overage it goes. And last year it did go more, we needed to increase it because they didn't have enough in the line.
But it all comes from water money, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. So the next line is water, legal fees, 100, and 3, which is level funded at 1,500. You don't see any issues coming before the town water legal.
Not at this time, Gordon.
Okay. So the next line is line 104, water meters, and that's an increase of $5,000.
Yeah, we just want to try to replace more meters, basically is what it is. Actually, that is only 26 water meters for $5,000, so. And we haven't increased that in years as far as I know.
So is that when the department goes out to the house and replaces them?
That, yeah, it's exactly.
So water, 105, gas and oil. So that's level funded. So usage-wise, have you looked into if that covers you for the year? Because one thing that we're talking about doing possibly is cutting that line,
What,
the gas and oil line.
gas and
I'm
oil?
assuming.
Gasoline line. Or there's a heating line, which is, and then there's the gasoline and, there should be a heating line item,
Well, this
Not
one
for-
just
not in
says,
the water.
water, okay.
just says gas and oil, so I assumed it was combined.
Yeah, they're not, that wouldn't be their heating.
So that's vehicle fuel?
The oil, would it be
Yeah, I
that
think,
YMCA generator for the 2 wells there?
Well, also your vehicles.
Okay.
yeah, I think it's mainly your vehicles.
Okay, so what was the question, Gordon?
If we did look to cut, the amount of oil and gas, would we be looking to cut this line too, or?
If you look at the sheet that Nikki has in her binder
Yeah,
for the gas and oil, you'll see that he's used, for the last couple of years, it was up over 11,000. So he might have a little bit of play, I don't know how much you would have in there.
Are you saying to try to cut our consumption?
No,
No,
Is that,
Oh, this
Is the
is the
price
wrong
going down?
line.
Because the price went down, Keith. They're just saying, they say it's gonna go back up, but it might not go back up as much. But you still use a good portion of that budget. You don't have a lot left over at the end of the year.
okay.
We don't have anything.
No,
Oh, these are actually,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
so consumption-wise, you think it'd stay the same consumption-wise
I
for the
would
year?
say, yeah.
Alright. It's just something, when we go to talk about the other lines, I wanna make sure that we take into the water department into that consideration.
It's really hard to tell because we don't have an actual number for this one.
Alright, so we can find. So again, Keith, what's the major consumption there? It's the trucks, and then,
It would be, yes, it would be the four active trucks.
and then the wells too? Is the-
Yeah, that's minimal, Gordon, really. We may burn 100 gallons of off-road diesel a year
Okay.
at the pump house. It's for power outage.
Okay, and then, vehicle maintenance, you've got an increase this year of 1,500.
Yes, the highway department has asked us to help maintain the backhoe a little bit.
Okay.
Because, you know, we use it, we probably use it more than they do. And I don't personally have a problem with that, because if we had to own our own backhoe or buy our own backhoe, that's very expensive.
Okay.
Plus, our trucks are getting older too, so very expensive to maintain as they get older. I'm sure you know that.
Yeah. My bet is the liaison, so if you get a chance, can you send us a list of the trucks and the mileage?
I have them. Brought it with me. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, I'll start with the oldest. 1978 Chevy step van, which we seldom use. I'd like to take that off the road. 27,200 miles. It was the old fire department rescue truck that we got from the fire department. Probably,
27,000 miles? That's not
Yeah.
very many.
yeah. Looks like a UPS truck, a delivery van is what it looks like, but it's blue and, you know, that style.
You didn't misspeak, it's
20,
27,000.
actually it's 27,217,
That's a very small number.
yeah.
Okay.
Then we have a 2004 F450, 97,225. In my opinion, that should be the next one replaced. We have a 2007 F350 with 55,800 miles. We have a 2008 F350 with 51,000 miles.
If you took the step van off the road,
Yeah.
how does that impact you?
What would I do, Gordon? I would take that off the road because it's just, it's gone by. It looks good, but I don't want to put a dime into it. What's on there is our water pumps, a lot of couplings and water main repair stuff. There's a workbench in it with a vise. There's some storage. There's hoses in there. What I want to do is I'd like to get rid of that. In the town of Middleborough, they use a utility trailer, a dual axle utility trailer.
Yep.
That's very, very practical. There's no maintenance on it. If they need it out on the road,
They take it with them.
they take it with them. Like, it's like a landscape trailer, is what it would be in the future.
Okay.
That's what I'd like to do.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on that? Okay. And then the next item is the water tower well maintenance line, which is level funded at $25,000. See any issues this year coming up?
I don't, Gordon.
And then the only other item that I know long-term is the tower itself. Are we gonna do,
Actually, I brought a paper, that's going out to bid. We're gonna open bids on that March 19th. And we're looking at a start date for the rehab of September 1 this year.
no, town meeting's already approved the bond debt.
Yes.
Well, do you think that's gonna be enough to cover, is your estimated?
That's what the bids are gonna find
Yeah,
out.
we're gonna find out March 19th.
Okay.
Mhm.
We have our fingers crossed, put it that way.
If we don't, is there still enough time to put something in the,
We put a placeholder.
Yeah.
okay.
Yes.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Keith?
I had a question. One of these lines, meters, the increase for replacing more meters,
Yes.
can you absorb that cost without affecting water rates?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Good. Anything else? Sorry we had to reschedule so many times for you, but thank you for coming in. Do you have
All
any
right,
questions for us?
Thank you. I don't.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night, folks.
Thank you.
Stu never called to find out what number to call, right?
What was he gonna call me?
He was gonna try to. There's a text. I didn't get a text from him, so. All right.
You wanna call me? Did he wanna call in for a particular issue?
Well, it was only to have the informal meeting, so we have a quorum, so. Okay, so the next, we have an appointment at 7:45 with Linda Brader. We have discussion of the fiscal 15 and fiscal 16 budgets, review of year-to-date spending, any public participation, and discussion of upcoming dates and calendar. So I have one item to add to next Monday's meeting. It's at 7:45.
Next Monday or Wednesday?
Monday.
Monday.
That's to meet with the school committee members.
Okay.
Uh,
Which school committee?
I believe Silver Lake,
Next Monday?
next Monday. 7:45.
School committee.
Could end up being all the school committee members.
Here?
Yes, here.
Okay. And do I need to get in touch with them, or do they
No.
already know?
Casey
Okay,
asked me when they could come in, I said, how about 7:45?
sure.
So we did get the state aid numbers this week. Sandy gave us an updated spreadsheet with those items listed. We have the same number. Charlie, the piece of paper you put in the mailbox for us, the updated new growth.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I was confused whether you had gotten different figures from Karen, that's all.
Okay.
I mean, because I had a number and I looked at it and all the numbers I have resemble that number, so I just wanted to make sure everybody, that I was on the same page as you all are.
Okay. I think that's the same number that we were using on the.
On the sheets that you're looking at, the second page is the revenue page.
Yep,
And what I did is I updated the state aid number,
okay.
and that helps us a bit with the deficit that we're in. We're still in a large
That-
deficit, but
That included the chapter 70 from the elementary school, correct? The cherry
yes.
cherry
Yeah.
sheet? Okay.
I meant to bring cherry sheet, that's why.
I printed out the numbers on the email myself, so I'll forget them. So, one item that came out of the governor's numbers last week was the updated minimum contribution numbers to Silver Lake. And Halifax number was a decrease, correct? Plimpton's was an increase of over 150,000, and Kingston was either over 600,000 or over 800,000. It was over 600,000.
So what's Halifax again?
I tell you 1 second. Let me put that in here. Save.
I printed out Charlie's spreadsheet, if that will help.
You did?
The
Yeah.
one that
Yeah,
he sent.
because it's easy to see them on the screen here.
Thank you so much. Can we go make copies?
Yeah. Thank
So
So-
ours went down and both other towns went up.
you. Yeah, so
How does that happen?
I,
Well, no, there's more to it than that.
the,
Well, correct, population is part of it. Another part of it is what our relative wealth and income status is versus the other two communities. Obviously, the last few years with Cisco, for instance, Plimpton's per capita valuation has gone up. So their ability to pay, the assumed ability to pay by the Department of Ed is going up. So that translates into a higher base for them.
the interesting thing for their increase was it was about 83.5% of their 2.5% increase, which seems nuts to me.
Of the 2.5%?
Of the two- of the
Or
two-
of the 2.5 plus new growth?
Of the 2.5. I didn't have a new growth number to use for them, but basically, the state thinks that 84% of their, $180,000, theirs was 150, I think, which I think is. Of that increase, that's only going to 6 grades of school. I know I have the number in here to Susan. If I'm doing it well.
Did their
Yes.
population
Do we
increase as
have
well?
the, do we have the minimum required contributions for both schools?
For both schools, yes, we do.
So what was the population shift? Do we know that?
We dropped at Silver Lake, it was 17, 18 students.
17 students.
So proportionally, other towns go up unless they went up as well. Do we
The other
know
towns,
how they shifted?
their populations went up.
Oh, everybody's populations went up. See,
No,
that's
ours
just-
went
The last
down.
one down.
Oh, right.
Our
But they both went up. They
Yes,
didn't just stay the same.
correct.
Okay. Oh, all right.
Our population at the school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At Silver Lake.
Okay.
So,
We're gonna, for the next 5 or 6 years, the percentage of the students at Silver Lake that are from Halifax will be going down. We're gonna be in a nice period for that. Of course, see me in 2020 and we'll have a discussion about whether that's going to hold true.
So this has, from the state's numbers, our enrollment, according to the state, dropped 26, Kingston's went up 54, and Plimpton went up 4, and a total increase of enrollment at Silver Lake of 32 students. So our minimum net budget drops, hold on, let's see budget versus contribution. Our minimum contribution dropped by $73,658.
What is it?
The minimum contribution is $3,636,253. Did I? 650.
What numbers are you reading?
I'm reading off this year's, oh, sorry, this was last year's. Yep. You're correct. Okay.
So that's remaining, is that this year's
So-
or last year's?
On step 2 of the spreadsheet, Charlie's got the FY16
Oh, okay,
numbers
okay. Yeah,
correct.
mhm.
I was reading off the difference between 15 and
good.
16. So, 6.3.
So it's a 3,562 number?
Yep, that's correct. 2, 3, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the total Silver Lake increase is 705,000. And that is split up with a decrease from us, and an increase to Plimpton, and an increase to Kingston. So, at the upcoming Silver Lake meeting on Thursday, it would be interesting to hear what Kingston and Plimpton now have to say about the budget. So Charlie's sheet here, if you look at, this is using their
Lot of
draft
caveats.
budgets.
First of all, it's using a version 1 budget. As far as I know, Silver Lake has no version 2. They have, I mean, even the meeting that we were at, it was a couple weeks ago, they never got to the point of even talking about cutting.
No, the only thing they did was increase in that budget.
So all we got version 1. The other pieces are on the revenue side, things like tuition in, things like that. I just had to use the numbers from the year we're in now because I have nothing else. I mean, they're in the ballpark, it's not gonna radically change. So I use the state aid numbers, I use their version 1, I use their current other sources of income numbers. But use the spreadsheet is based on last year. It's the same format, just the numbers have been updated to figure out what the splits would be for the 3 towns. So people should understand that the way the assessment basically take their budget, take all their other revenue sources for state aid, all the tuition payments, anything else. That's what you've got left to assess, but the first step in their assessment process is to take the minimum contributions. And those are based on the state formula. It's not based on the number of kids in the school system. Take those out, and what you've got remaining is then split based on the number of kids in the school system. So you can wind up with somewhat different percentages overall. And that's one of the reasons why our,
What?
Oh, shit.
This person, sorry.
Oh, okay,
that's why our, even with version 1, our increase, assuming everything played according to their plan, would be somewhere between 5 and 6%. Kingston would be something in the order of 13%. Plimpton would be on the order of 15%. We might, if Plimpton and Kingston really want to force the budget down, we could actually see a decrease in our assessment from the year we're in to next year. Because, basically, if they push it down by 5%, we're pretty close to level funding the assessment. If they push it down farther than that, if Kingston says, we're not going to vote for anything more than a 5% increase in our assessment, well, you've just dropped it by 8%, let's say, and we're now down at -2, -3. And that's the thing, is that one of the big things that happened was that the minimum contributions changed significantly from the year we're in to next year, to fiscal 16, which affected everybody, obviously. For us, it was a gain. But as I wrote to y'all, I mean, we can't just play lowest common denominator. I agree we have to be a united group of 3 towns when dealing with Silver Lake. And I think we have to sympathize with a community that's in need, but at the same time, we're there to be supporting Silver Lake. And we need to be more revenue driven with them rather than expense driven, in the sense of saying to them, this is how much money you have, you need to fit a budget within that, not here's how much money we want from you. Fit that within your budget.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it means, and Gordon said that he has been in contact with his colleagues in Clinton and Kingston. And I don't know whether they now have the same number. I didn't say to you, please pass these along.
I had done a similar,
Yeah.
I looked at what you had and said your numbers are just as close to mine,
Yeah.
so.
But I don't know if the other 2 did the same thing.
They looked at the numbers I
Yeah.
sent them.
Okay.
I know Mary did.
Yeah.
Mary did her own
I had last
calculations.
week.
And it's, I don't think that they can sustain a 1.1. I don't think they can sustain a $500,000 increase for Kingston. I just don't see how that's, I mean, their Prop 2.5 is $690,000 a year, where ours is like $350. This is the total increase year over year. So Halifax, that if the budget passed, that would be our increase. This would be
That's their
Kingston's,
increase?
and that's Plimpton's increase, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And Silver Lake's meeting Thursday. Right now, they're posted for 2 sessions at the same time at 6 p.m. The regular district is supposed to be meeting, then they're simultaneously meeting with the entire union, meaning the other elementary school committees. But there's mention in the agenda of a 5 o'clock revenue committee meeting. In the agenda, there's a report, there's a list of reports, and one of them is from the revenue committee. It says, report from revenue committee from the March 12th meeting, which would have to be at 5 o'clock, but they're not posted yet here yet.
So is the revenue meeting the meeting with the selectmen? Is that what they were calling? You know how they?
Yes.
That's what they're calling
That was a
that?
meeting that we were,
Yeah.
We were in the library
Yeah.
beforehand, that was a revenue subcommittee.
Okay.
But I haven't been notified about it. As far as I know, the town clerk hasn't posted it all. I checked the board tonight, but the posting for the overall school committee shows that as one of the agenda items, is a report from the revenue committee because of their meeting earlier that day, so I don't know what's going on.
Well, we have an appointment. You want to come on up? Grab a chair, come up to the table? Yeah, come on up to the table.
Sure.
Grab a chair, hold up.
Have a cushion.
So thank you for filling out the form and being interested in joining. The first question I have is,
Should we introduce ourselves?
oh yes, we probably should. So Gordon Andrews,
Mickey,
Yeah, I'm Petra Sherrill.
Very nice to
should have
meet
done
you.
it by phone.
Julianne Crawford. Nice to meet you too.
And I'm Kendra.
Hi.
It's nice
Nice
to
to put a
finally
face to a
meet you.
name.
that's Sandy, our town clerk in the
Hi.
back room.
Hello.
Charlie, so he's the town
Yeah,
administrator.
Sandy's got one day counting off.
Yeah.
What did I say?
That's all right.
Well, there are probably days that Barbara would be fine with that anyway.
Okay.
And Barbara Gaynor's.
And Barbara's,
The real town.
sorry,
Gordon's having a rough time.
yeah. Not many hours of sleep. So, it's a big time commitment. It's Mondays from usually 7 to, what time do you want to tell her?
Well, I think the steward time is you leave at 9, one way or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
The responsibility of the finance committee basically is to meet throughout the year, look at the budgets, talk with department heads. Each member here is a liaison to different departments. Go and speak with a department head, find out what's going on with their budget, find out what's going on in their department. And then we come back here, we get a look at the overall town financial picture, and we decide whether or not we can afford certain things in the budget. And we make that recommendation to town meeting. Our responsibility is a balanced budget to town meeting to represent, to give to the townspeople. Whether or not they follow our recommendations is up to the townspeople.
Well, a town meeting might be a big commitment as well. Last year, how long did it go?
4 nights.
4, yeah, I was trying to remember if it was 3 or 4. So that's in mid.
It felt like me.
So, right now we're in a crunch. The budget currently has a deficit that we're looking at. What's your updated numbers, Sandy?
202,000.
202,000. And that's with level funding Silver Lake right now. So that might be a good thing, it might be a bad thing. So that's the perspective we have this year, looking at the budget. We haven't talked about the capital plan or capital spending yet. And because of all the snowstorms, we haven't had very many meetings at all. And we're looking at having Wednesday night meetings as well.
Okay. I don't think we did that the last couple of years, though. It's not like we always.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
We don't always run into 2 days a week. I don't
No, we
think
try
do.
not to,
Yeah.
but with the snowstorms and
Right.
everything, we're running into a problem. Because don't forget, we have to go to print on April 8th.
Yep.
Soon.
What?
That's soon.
So we
April
still,
8th, we go to print with our warrant.
we still have a lot of things up in the air for this fiscal year. And then after town meeting, we have meetings over the summer to discuss what went well, what didn't, what financial policies that we should look at, what things should we try to do better. And then we're in charge of the reserve fund for the town.
Okay.
So if, something breaks and there's no money in the budget to fix it, then we can approve the spending for that item. I feel like I'm missing a lot of things tonight to say.
A lot of the work is done outside of meetings because we have liaisons, we meet with various departments and we bring just assigned to certain departments. And we try to meet with them like during the day, but you work during the day. So maybe you could, if you call them, you can usually make an appointment on a weekend or after work. They're very good about waiting around to talk to you about something.
My work schedule is very flexible, so.
Oh, well, that's good, that's good. Or else by phone, you can also do it by phone.
Or email.
Yeah.
I've heard with email too.
Okay?
Email.
Yes, you
Yes.
can do it by email, and you bring the questions back to the committee, and then, you're the liaison, that's exactly what you are.
So, does being a part of the board interest you, and how does that fit in for you?
It does interest me. I just moved here about a year ago, so I want to be part of the town and contribute, honestly. as far as how it fits in my life, I don't think this would be a problem.
Okay.
Like I said, my work schedule is pretty flexible. We have the kids' schedule down pat, so I don't think it would be an issue.
Good for you.
They're getting older, they're not, you know.
Well, that's when they
I was
get
gonna
driven
say,
all over the
I-
place. So I have a question. So I totally understand about being interested in getting involved in the town, and I agree 100%. But why the finance committee? Why are you interested in the finance committee?
So I'm really good at it. I do a lot of this fiscal year stuff with work. Like I work with budgets over millions of dollars. Our biggest budget is 120 million. So I figured I can handle something like this.
It is completely separate animal from the way businesses operate, correct, Meg?
It certainly is.
But I figured it's a way I can contribute.
Yep.
It's a great way to learn about what's going on in the town. You definitely hear about a lot of things that you might not otherwise, and how things work. And yeah.
Well, it'd be nice to hear firsthand too. So
Yes.
like I'm obviously part of Halifax Locals, and then see people's opinions, and I appreciate people's opinions, but it's nice to have the
Yeah.
real information.
The facts.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a town meeting?
I have not. So the one that just passed for the farming,
Yeah. The February one.
yes, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, time flies. I was not able to attend. We had other obligations, family obligations, but I keep track of everything that's going on. And I think I just got my paperwork finally right. My name was wrong on my voting papers for a while. It was spelled with a lie.
Good. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any more questions.
Do you have any questions for us? Any particular questions? On the
When's your
budget?
deadline for
So,
putting year and stuff?
so basically, we have to print the warrant with our recommendations. We're supposed to print the warrant with our recommendations.
Well, Charlie told us that that was about the last day,
So-
April 8th.
April 8th would mean that we'd have to have all our recommendations in, they'd have to be typed up and be ready to go. Otherwise, you'll see at the bottom of every article, it'll say, Finance Committee's recommendation at town meeting. So, I think that we're gonna be doing double sessions in the next 2 weeks to try to catch up to where we should be. But with the budget, the governor's budget is usually out a month earlier than now. And then next week, we'd be looking at getting the state of reps legislation should be out next week. So things could shift a lot of what we see as things that we have to do. But we're still looking at a massive deficit right now. I mean, the biggest issues that we have are with the biggest increase is out-of-district sped at $400,000. Out-of-district sped transportation at $58,000. Halifax Elementary's regular day increase is $226,000, almost $227,000. Insurance is $21,000, and retirement is about $74,000. So that adds up to $729,000. And the most the town can increase in revenue this year is $689,166. So each year, the town can increase spending by 2.5%. So that increase for this fiscal year is $346,750. And then the estimated new growth is, say, somebody builds a new house or puts an addition on, all that new total town value is now taxable at the current tax rate. So that increase is $335,000. And then last year, we had an excess capacity of $207,000, meaning that we didn't tax up to the levy limit.
That estimated income, so planning on people building,
Yeah.
is that like a formula used, or is that based on plans that you're already aware of, like permits that have been pulled? Is it-
So the estimated new growth is from the principal town assessor, and that's going to be based on what they believe is finished for this upcoming fiscal year.
Okay.
Not anything that somebody's just paid a permit for, or because it's not if it's not completely finished, it's not assessed at that new total.
Right.
So the new growth is just an estimate, and that's the closest, that estimate of 134 is from like 2 weeks ago from the principal assessor. So really up-to-date information. The excess capacity we've known since we set the tax rate, and then the Prop 2.5 increase is just a formula that we follow. So basically, you take what last year's levy limit is, you add 2.5%, and that tells you what it is. So, it seems like we're spending a lot of money, almost $700,000, and we're talking about a $200,000 deficit.
Yeah.
So,
Which is unacceptable, because we have to stay within the levy limit.
Right.
And I think it's unrealistic for some departments to be asking for an increase in their budget that's over and above what we're allowed to increase our entire town budget by. It just doesn't make sense.
And that gets put up to a vote, right? So they can request the increase, but that doesn't mean they
Yes.
get granted the increase.
Yes.
right, so the first stage is, what the finance committee recommends. Last year, both school budgets were requested at higher numbers than what the finance committee recommended to the
Right.
town.
And I think the same is going to be true this year. I don't see how else you're going to avoid it.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that Halifax Elementary went through and they did do second revision.
I don't think that we should be, Mr. Chairman, I tend to speak out instead of raising my hand. I don't think we should go through their budget to see what they can cut, what they
No,
can
no, no.
cut. I think we should tell them what they can spend, and they have to design their own budget, period.
Can't spend
Because
more than you have.
I'm not on the school committee, the town elected those people to make those decisions. And with the school population dropping, I think it's unrealistic to ask for the kind of 4% increases they're asking.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I was just saying.
And I think we should write them a letter tonight, instead of playing around with it and talking about revenues. I think we should be talking about expenditures. I think we should write them a letter and tell them that we're going to approve, we're going to recommend to town meeting a 2.5% increase in their school budget, period.
They're coming next week, right?
Yeah.
Elementary school
Yeah,
committee?
well,
Wait, I thought you said Silver Lake.
Silver Lake's next week?
Silver Lake's next week, but I'll see if
Didn't you mention Halifax Elementary? We talked about that, though. Coming in, right?
yeah.
I thought someone said Casey
Well-
was aware they were coming. Oh, for
Casey
Silver
does
Lake.
both.
Casey does post, so I can just double check with him.
Yeah.
Here we go! So I have a question.
Yes.
Go ahead.
If I were to be your partner,
Yeah,
yeah.
and piggybacking on your statement that it's a different animal than the corporate world,
Yeah.
is there any educational documentation that I could research or educate myself on?
Of what they want?
No,
Just how town finances work, or rules, guidelines, things like that.
so Sandy, you got your hand up.
There is there's a new financial,
Finance person's forum, which you can go to. There's also a finance committee handbook that's actually on disc now, right?
Yes.
So we can get you one of those. Also, I have some paperwork in my office. I'm the town accountant,
Okay.
and I work closely with the finance committee. I do have there's a municipal finance glossary, just so that you know
The terminology.
the terminology, different things like that, and I can get you that information.
That would be perfect.
And the state, the Department of Education issues what they call the minimum school spending, what they say that you have to spend to maintain a decent elementary school system. So we have that figure to work with, and that's our minimum. So we work from there.
Trying to answer next Monday.
Do you have any other questions? Oh, I have a thought about this. We have one open position and one that's theoretically
No,
open.
we have
No,
two.
we have
We have two. And they might not be the same term ending, right?
And they're not the same term,
So do we know what they are? Because
I
that
don't
might be
top of my
something
head, I
worth
have to look.
thinking about.
I know, I have to talk to,
Because we have two open positions, but they're both people who resigned, correct? Or
They
is
both
one of
left.
them lapsed and now it's,
one of them
the
has
two
lapsed.
openings, right?
One of them has lapsed,
Okay.
and the other one,
We have Karens and we have, an open.
So would one of them be like a new position starting for the length of the term? Or would they both be for the rest of what's left of the term?
Charlie would have that answer when he comes back.
They're always for the
Yeah.
rest of the term unless that term has expired. If that
Right,
term has
exactly.
expired,
Right.
then.
So
it's
what-
for
like
the
Julianne
whole-
filled one, and then 2 weeks later she had to go
You
and
do another
and do
one.
another one.
Yeah.
Because her term expired.
The term is usually 3 years if it's a new term, or if it's the end of somebody else's term, it could be from now until June 30th. Do you have a preference? Would you?
Well, we don't know because it might be like a year and a half depending on when, I don't know when the other terms are ending, you know?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
would you like a motion to recommend her to the Board of Selectmen?
sure.
What you want to do is set it up so it's a seat that you just need one vote for each.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna.
Yeah.
That's what you're talking about.
So,
A second type of.
Well, hold on, I put Charlie answer.
so it'll be for a term expiring in June 2017.
Are they both doing that, both of the positions, both of the spots?
I mean, both slots that are
Yeah.
open now. I have to check, I'll tell you, can tell you in a minute. I know we've got one that's
Do me a favor,
definitely.
write your name down and your email address.
Sure.
So I can add it to my list.
I give you my personal one. We've been emailing on my work email.
The Gmail one? I'm not gonna obviously do that.
How do you have the Gmail? Did I give that to you? Oh, because I was emailing you on my P&G thing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad I gave that to you. I was already ahead of myself.
Oh, that's fine. I don't even look at what you send back. You send it.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Because I've been sending to you from my work, but usually I send from my
Karen's
personal.
term
So-
expired on June 30th, 2015. So I mean, but the thing is, that's an unexpired term, which means you all have to show up for a meeting with the selectmen at some point. Not tomorrow, it'll have to be the 24th. What we need is, if we do the term that we ended up with nobody in, which is a 2017, you only need to choose one person whose term is not up this coming year.
Okay, so we're gonna look at.
To go,
To go to the selectmen's meeting on the 24th.
okay.
Tell you what
And
makes
that's
sense.
the one that's ending 2017. So we're looking at a term that goes through, when, June of 2017?
Yes.
June 30th.
So what would you like, Mr. Chairman, recommendation for the full term?
For the one ending 2017, right, Gordon?
Well,
What?
Yes.
yeah, I can make it to that meeting,
When's your term expire?
16. So I can,
Okay.
yes.
I know you're not up,
Yeah,
and I know
the-
you're not
For the
up.
term ending 2017.
As far as anybody else, I don't know.
Yeah.
if something
Yeah.
comes up.
Yeah, that's a 16.
Stu might be up.
17, that's only 2
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, it's the.
But it's a
It's a
full-
remainder.
But it's the remainder of the full term,
Yeah.
because nobody, if
Of
it's a.
Karen's?
No, either Peter or Paul's, because it was
Oh, I see,
overfilled.
okay, all right, okay. Okay. Well, I would move that we recommend Linda Berger to the Board of Selectmen to become a member of the Finance Committee for whichever term she prefers and they prefer.
Okay, is there a second?
Second?
All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Thank you for coming. I'm sure they'll,
No, we hope you actually want to be a member, not that we're.
I'll attend whatever the selectmen's
Yeah.
meeting needs to be attended by, so I'll attend.
All right, so what will happen now is.
And you'll write to the selectmen? Karen, you write to the selectmen, telling them we recommend
I
it.
answered anything.
We'll work on it.
Thank you. Anytime. So what will happen now is we'll make an appointment for you to come in to the selectmen. And then they will have to vote as well, and then they all have to also appoint you.
Okay.
So I believe Charlie said that would be on the 24th, but I'll talk to the secretary tomorrow and get you an actual time
Okay.
for you to come in. And we'll go from there, and then it will be official.
Okay.
And I will make you up a notebook, and then she'll
Yeah,
have
and
to
then
get
you have
sworn
to
in.
see Barbara, the
Yeah.
town clerk, not Sandy, the town clerk.
Right. Sandy, the town clerk.
Well, you can go see Sandy, because you probably will need to, but you probably can't swear you in.
And I've been known to just show up right before your meeting and swear people in.
Oh, she's so nice that
But you're welcome to come to our meetings until such time
That's great. That's
you're
great.
appointed.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, to learn about what's
Yeah,
going
you're
on.
always
Yeah.
welcome to come and sit in and listen, and
Oh, okay.
Just won't be able to vote until
Yeah.
you get sworn in.
I'll get a folder made up.
Okay.
What is that called, a binder?
Yeah.
Oh, you got one of these. You're excited.
That's why mine's not in a binder yet, was so that I could make copies.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're always welcome to come and sit in, that way you're at least,
And we're at Mondays.
Monday, 7 PM here.
Seven.
I'm gonna add you,
Doing
I'll add you
Wednesday
into the
this week,
email.
too.
Did we post for Wednesday?
I did.
Okay. Are we meeting? So the.
I figured better to post and cancel
Right.
than.
The issue is that we still don't have the information from Silver Lake, which is going to completely drive how much we need to cut.
And they're not coming till next Wednesday.
Well, their meeting is this Thursday.
Oh.
So I'll be in touch with you for the 24th, at a time, anything like that. You're welcome to stay and listen to the rest of the meeting, your choice. But I'll be in touch with you for the selectmen's meeting on the 24th. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.
I know.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thanks for putting up for me, emailing you and pushing you.
Yeah, sorry about that. That was my bad.
No worries. Thank you. It was very nice meeting everybody.
Nice meeting
Thank you,
you.
Linda. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Halifax never sent another, Halifax Elementary never sent an updated budget to you?
No, I called Christine Healy, the business manager, today, and asked if there was a version 2 from Halifax
Yeah.
yet, and she said, no, there wasn't. So I don't know whether they never actually voted on it, or what, because I was under the impression there was, and I couldn't remember at the time,
Sorry.
so that's why I called her this afternoon.
That's okay.
But she said there wasn't, so I'm not sure where that stands.
Okay, because I know that they talked about cutting different lines at
Mhm.
the last elementary school. I don't know. Without having updated numbers from what they've done and what Silver Lake's going to do, meeting Wednesday is pointless.
Well, unless we have departments that we want to talk to, right? Because we need maybe to gather information. Not that I'm like going towards you on Wednesday, but.
It's my birthday.
Oh!
We could approve meeting minutes.
Oh, you got funny.
Just saying. I'm just throwing it out there.
It's a good choice.
Yep, it's a good thing to
It's
do
a
on
choice.
birthdays.
Could be a quick.
I throw a party.
Well, we have
So,
cookies tonight.
What other departments do we have scheduled now?
I don't have any scheduled yet.
Okay.
We need to meet with Kathy Chabon. We need to meet with, off the top of my head, Kathy Chabon, Board of Health, Library, Council on Aging.
You should do
What
that.
was that one?
You should do that.
No, there was
I
no.
should do what?
We should run the meeting on Wednesday. Well, no, because Stu's gone, so I have to be here.
Sandy, what am I
When's
missing of
Stu back?
obvious ones?
His flight was delayed
Highway?
by half a week.
Oh, my goodness, really?
Right. Highway.
Yeah.
Why?
coming home by half?
No, he didn't go out for a few days because of the snow. They
Oh.
changed his schedule, so he got pushed out.
I forgot about highway.
And that's Stu.
Highway, and we still have both the schools.
So let's see, did we get a response back?
So the library was scheduled for one of those
Both.
nights that we canceled, right?
Both
Yep,
schools
both
For
schools,
Wednesday.
for Monday.
When?
Oh, Monday.
for Monday.
The 6th, next week?
Yeah.
Alright, so that's Monday.
So basically, we're scheduled for that meeting then.
Yep.
Because that's gonna take the whole time. And my intent for that meeting, as Peg said, is not to go line by line through their budget. It's to say, this is what we can afford, this is what we can't afford.
And we have, we have three parts to the budget. We have Silver Lake, we have the elementary school, and we've got the whole town. And so no one entity can soak up everything we have to spend. It's ridiculous.
I agree. But Sandy, on the special needs, do you know what the circuit breaker number that they
We know.
factored in was on
They factored it in at 50%
this
funding.
budget? But did you?
That was on the
Yeah.
400,000 increase. They used a 50% funding. Kim had said that they may use a 65% because that's what we got last year was 65% funding. And I believe it was stated, I'm gonna see if I can get it right. I believe it's 22,000 per 5%. So it was going to decrease it by 66,000.
Total.
But that, again, until we know for sure.
So when do we get that budget item? When do we find out?
What they fund circuit breaker
Yeah,
at?
is that?
I don't know, Gordon. I don't know whether that comes out about the same time as the Senate and the House Ways and Means recommendations on the budget or not. I guess it would have to, wouldn't it? Because
Yeah,
if
but they're gonna
if they're
have to tell
coming
us, right?
forward with the state budget, they're gonna have to tell you what percentage they're funding the circuit breaker at.
So, and that should be next week, correct? That's gonna be next Monday?
Well, will they act that fast? Because they just got the governor's budget. It
Well-
usually takes them, well,
But
it takes a while for the Senate. And are they doing a combined Senate and House Ways and Means, or are they only doing the one at a time?
I think they're doing it just one at a time from what I was told.
Because then the Senate will come out and then you have to wait for the House Ways and Means.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Is this a reserve fund? Okay.
I think he's putting us on notice. Yes.
Thanks.
Bond issues,
Okay, so here's mail.
looks like. This is an email we got in February.
Alright, should I read this out loud? Okay, from Charlie Steele. The subject is the town of Halifax, Small Pond Work Financial Status Report. Hi folks, for something completely different, the Board of Selectmen has been and continues to work with Lycott Environmental, which has been bought out by Aquatic Control Technologies on Monpont Pond water quality projects. In West Monpont Pond, the town has been trying to reduce the amount of algae, which is both unsightly but also hazardous to human beings that are in contact with it. At present, there is about $48,000 in money already approved for this purpose. I expect that further work will be done this year, which will cost the town between $56,000 and $62,000. There is sufficient money for the work to proceed until May, at which time I will request additional appropriation from the Monpont Water Quality Stabilization Fund for for the remaining amount needed during the calendar year 2015. In the East Monpont Pond, the town's most important concern is invasive weeds. There are some problems with algae growth, but treating West Pond will also help. The town had the pond treated with an herbicide a little less than 10 years ago with good results. To do this work in 2015 will cost about $81,200. I have about $1,700 available for this project. The preliminary permitting will cost about $900, so that is well within the amount left. $4,300 will be needed for monitoring and testing, but I do not know when this work will need to be done. Vis-a-vis, how do you say that? Vis-a-vis?
Vis-a-vis.
Vis-a-vis. The town, for the special town meeting in May, they may request a small appropriation from the reserve fund sometime between now and May if needed. I'll ask for the rest of the money at special town meeting using the stabilization fund mentioned above. There is about $130,000 in the stabilization fund, so there is sufficient money available if town meeting approves the appropriations. I also to ask the city of Brockton for funding, as under statute, the city has a responsibility to maintain the ponds for all users. I don't need any action taken right now, but wanted to bring you up to date about these projects. Thanks.
So I wrote to you back in mid-May about that. Then what I did, I got more information from Aquatic Control Technologies, which is the firm that bought out Lycott, which had done the previous work. What I'm going to need, I did a spreadsheet showing the schedule and the amounts I'm going to need for each step in the process. So I'm going to need, in fact, a little bit of money from the reserve fund to get me to town meeting in May for the East Monpont Pond work. That's the sonar work, the herbicide to treat the invasive weeds. That algae is in West Monpont Pond, invasive weeds are in East Monpont Pond. We had done some work with sonar about 10 years ago in the East Basin, which worked fine, really cut down the amount of invasive weeds there. And if they had brought this information in a few weeks earlier, I would have brought all this to town meeting and got it done then, but it was too late. The timing just didn't work. The problem is, West Monpont Pond, I have enough money to proceed to town meeting without a problem. There's money set aside in previous appropriations. We appropriated money for East Monpont Pond too, but I'm down to just this much. I can't even get one. I'm going to delay the sonar treatment until after May 11th, but the permitting work and such that needs to be done, I need a little bit more money to get me to May 11th. So I'll be asking for that amount from the reserve fund. I think it's on the table there as to how much money I actually need from the reserve fund. And I'd be fine, for instance, when we get to town meeting, moving the same amount back into the reserve fund from the stabilization fund. So in essence, you'll be loaning me the money and then we put the money back in the reserve fund.
I have a question. So this is a separate stabilization fund, it's not the...
Correct. It's
And
not the
where
main.
did Where did that money come from?
Back a number of years ago, this was a nationwide settlement with water departments and such, where because there was a pollutant called MTBE, not pollutant, but an additive called MTBE gasoline. Unfortunately, gas tanks at gasoline stations and such can have leaks. Also, even residue from the stuff that ends up on the roads and such ends up in water supplies. So a number of gas and oil companies settled with a number of water systems, private, public, whatever, and we ended up with, $200,000 to $300,000, something like that. Because we had actually a situation where Cumberland Farms a number of years ago, one of their gasoline tanks leaked and polluted the Richmond wells. So it took a fair amount of work to get that corrected. And we didn't get money specifically to reimburse us for that. We got money as basically just, here's a check, all our grievances are settled. And we've used that money from time to time, both on work on Ponce Pond, but also work on the town's water supply.
So if this was done 10 years ago and now it needs to be done again, when this money is gone, is it gonna need to be done again? Okay, good to know.
Yeah, it's like, basically,
It's maintenance.
well, it's maintenance. I mean, you go weed your garden.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're gonna weed it once. That's the problem.
I hire somebody to read my guy.
Well, no, but that costs money. So, that's
It
what
does when you have to feed them.
And what I found out was that TSP migrates. So if it goes down like where Cumberland is, it'll move through the ground and the sand will not filter it as it does most things. It moves in total into the water supply, so it's gotta be dealt with.
Well, so it always like, that problem was solved a number of years ago.
Right.
That was a settlement.
But that's where the money came from.
Right, exactly.
So are you filling out a reserve fund tonight?
I can do that tonight, sure.
We have a quorum.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons why I remembered while you were talking to your next victim about, you mentioned various topics in the reserve fund, I realized I had already at least noted to you that I might be asking for a transfer, and now you got a quorum, and this would be a good time. So I'll come back in a few minutes with a reserve, the form itself.
Okay. So we'll be getting some new mail in a few minutes.
Alright. So are we done with the agenda?
So, Barbara, do you have anything for
No, I just
public?
came to watch. Unless,
Because I'm
Yeah.
thinking, I honestly, I hate to recommend more meetings, but if we're gonna meet with all these departments, don't you think we should have some of them come and actually finish? I mean, how many meetings do we have left before we go to print? And we need to talk to all the departments, and Monday, the schools are gonna take up
Well,
the
it's
bulk of the
it's gonna
meeting.
take the whole time.
Yeah.
So we have, today's the 9th. It's just, it's gonna end up being 4 nights out for me this week, and it's too much. It's too much for me. Besides being my birthday and all.
Alright, well, that's fine, Monday it is.
So can we do Monday, the 16th, Wednesday, the 18th, Monday, the 23rd, Wednesday, the 25th?
Wait, you said that too fast.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Can you back up? So
Sure, so today's the 9th, we do this Monday, the 16th,
And that's the schools.
that's the schools.
Yeah.
We'll do Wednesday, the 18th, we'll do Monday, the 23rd, we'll do Wednesday, the 25th, we'll do Monday, the 30th, and Wednesday is April 1st.
Okay, I have a couple things.
Yes,
Number one, next week on the 18th,
yes.
that's kindergarten parent workshop that I have to go to at the elementary school
Okay.
for new incoming kindergarten kids. It starts at 6, so I'll be here just maybe a little bit late. I don't know how long that goes for.
Okay.
And then on the 23rd through the 1st, I'll be in Punta Cana.
Well, the
That's
Skyping video is gonna work out really well.
When is Stu back?
Stu,
Punta
From
Cana.
the 23rd to the 1st, you'll be what?
In Punta Cana. It's in the Caribbean.
Oh, can we go?
it was awfully nice of you to invite us on your trip. Okay.
Actually, I might be able to make it, I think I fly home on the 31st, so I could probably be here on the 1st. But definitely not the 23rd or the 30th. I won't be here.
23rd, 25th.
And when is Stu back?
Oh yeah, sorry, 23rd, 25th, or 30th.
Stu, I believe, is back on the 16th.
Okay,
So
so you'll be
could
at quorum.
potentially have a quorum.
So we
Without-
should, and then what was the date that Charlie said for the selectmen?
24th, and she has to get sworn in.
should be meeting the 25th.
5th? Well, she can go see Barbara during the day on the 25th.
Or I'll be here at 6:45, the 25th.
Making copies.
Make him a copy.
I will do that, just keep.
Barbara's the best.
Wow.
Alright,
Does anybody else have any known Scheduling
Sorry.
conflicts? Okay,
Sure
so,
you really can be here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All set for Saturday.
okay, so
Yeah.
do we want, so we have the schools the 16th, what do you want to have the 18th?
I would recommend that if Kemp is willing to contact them, that we just see when the departments are available and fit them in. Doesn't that seem easier than picking the
That's-
date for the departments? Is that put too much on you?
Oh, so we're playing dealer's choice.
Yeah.
Well, I just
Reserve
meant,
fund for
if
travel.
Kendra's gonna be communicating to see when they're coming,
It's
so,
okay,
okay, all right,
just make the motion, I'll second that one.
all right. Make a motion to have Kendra invite
Just
the
have a review.
remaining departments scheduled
That's
for
not-
the remaining.
I need to know by then.
Put your hands up, you're choking.
Second. All those in favor of having Kendra set up the appointments for us?
You gotta give me a motion.
Aye.
You have to let me know who you want.
Well, we need library, highway, assessors, yes, no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
We need Board of Health,
Council on
we
Aging.
need council on aging.
and we need to set up time for Charlie, because he's got the data processing line. We need to find out what we're gonna do for that.
Just give me mine.
Just give.
Oh, that was an easy one.
There's one.
Charlie, check.
I don't think I got it all.
Assessor? Who did I have? Library, highway, board of health? Council on
Treasurer's
Aging,
office.
And treasurer Kathy Chavon, I had her scheduled,
You know,
I need to reschedule. Did we say
The
assessor, yes?
Yeah. The veterans agent,
Yeah.
Right, veterans agent, weights and measures. We need
yes,
to see any of
weights,
them.
oh, weights and measures, we always, it's always the one that we mess
He's
up,
a
is
hoot.
weights and measures.
Did you just? No, he's fine.
So I've noticed online that Halifax and Lights has been doing some fundraising.
Yeah.
Do we have any, I know that they have about $9,000 in their account.
Right.
How much money?
I've got absolutely nothing from them yet. They lost 3 members in the last few weeks. They still are trying to get an event together. They actually sent me an email late today, asked me to publicize that they need new members to have the event. They're in contact with the fireworks display company. They're trying to work that out. But that's where things are right now.
So if we are looking at budget cuts, when we talked about reducing the police overtime as one of the lines, is that one of the events that we need to pay attention to, that's going to be cut, those wages?
I think he knew, remember he said he wouldn't be able to do that, so yeah, that's part of it. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so do we need to tell Halifax and Lights that they need to fundraise for the?
They should, I'll get a message, I'm sending a note to my work account to tell them, yeah.
Okay.
It also means I need to talk to Ted and find out how much the details are gonna
the
cost.
cost.
Same thing with fire,
Fire never budgeted for it, that's always outside.
okay.
It's always been, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, depending upon what you find out, we schedule
Yes.
them? is there any?
Veterans Agent, you said?
Yeah, veterans agent. I mean, he level funded except for the increase in veterans benefits, which we know we're gonna go up, and there's nothing that we can really do, and that money comes back as
We
the
get a
following year.
75% reimbursement.
reimbursement.
So you need to see him.
I don't really think we need to see him. Stu's the veterans,
No, I am.
You
I
are?
met with him.
there was nothing,
No, I mean, he mentioned something, he might need a printer. But. Let me see. No,
I mean,
he
he
mentioned the increase in benefits, but he just said, you know, he has more people now that he pays out to. 19 verse 6, I guess, so.
We need
There
that.
was nothing.
We probably will need money at the special town meeting for him,
at the special,
for this year's budget.
okay. But, I mean,
What department does the dog officer fall under?
the dog officer,
The dog officer, what department is that?
he's at the police.
Oh, he was here.
so did we not talk about that? We should have.
I just want to know if they're buying a
Oh, I did,
scanner.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
And what's the answer? They're buying one?
They're thinking of it,
Oh,
so I'll keep after them.
okay.
But you see, if you don't give me any money, I can't buy things like
Well, how much does it cost?
that. $2.25 or something, no, I don't know how much. it is. I don't know.
Well, we've already
But
done.
that's always what they say, you know, if you don't give me money, I can't buy things like that. It's not in my budget.
Except for consolation.
I was gonna say.
That's gonna be its own right. Have we already put the library on notice that they probably should fill out the waiver paperwork this year?
No, I'll have to call him. I will, trust me.
We talked about doing the waiver before, we've never actually done it.
What's that?
So, the library is required by statute in order to keep their certification or accreditation.
Something like that.
They need to
To
have,
get the state aid.
they need to have their budget increased by 2.5%, basically.
But not only to keep state money, but to be allowed to participate in the network of libraries and share books with other libraries and have your Halifax library card work in other local libraries, which is important to my family. They have to either meet the minimum funding or apply for a waiver, and you have to meet certain
The
requirements
state's
among
been
the
pretty,
towns.
the state's been pretty good about granting waivers to towns who have never asked for one before. And I know they're starting to clamp down on people who are in for like the 10th time or the 11th time. But Halifax has never asked for one.
Sandy?
The increases in their expenses,
Yeah.
one is a step increase for the director, and the other was on the wages, and it's minimal. I believe it's a step for whoever's left on steps in the day. I mean, they're not really asking for an increase.
Oh, they level funded the,
Expenses.
Remember they were kind of using they were using another mechanism so
Yeah.
that the budget didn't have to
So,
go up.
yeah, so this
Anyway,
is,
I just
they're not really looking for that much of an increase.
okay.
Can I ask about a different budget,
Yes.
just in case you happen to know, Sandy? I'm looking at the sealer weights and measures, and his
Mhm.
expense line went down.
Because he rotates the expenses on various things he might do on an annual basis. I think he's down to 2 towns. So one year he'll ask for this thing from town X, and then the other year it's from Halifax, then it's back and forth.
Okay. Okay. So that's not a mistake. Okay.
Anything else? Oh, the reserve fund transfer. So we have the amount requested, $925 to be transferred to the Monpont Pond dash
Invasive weeds.
invasive weeds. Present balance of said appropriation is $1,400. The amount will be used for permitting for sonar treatment of the East Monpont Pond to reduce invasive weeds. The estimates were received earlier in this year, but there was insufficient money in the account to pay for the entire project. Further funds will be requested at the annual special town meetings in May. Is there a motion to approve?
I move that we approve it. Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you.
motion's through. Okay. Is there anything else besides Kendra staring at me?
How many do you have now?
The one on the top is from June 23rd.
Do we have,
Oh, no.
oh, we have Peg
We
here?
don't have quorum for that one.
Oh,
This is Stu. I know, oh,
well, that's bad. I mean,
that one. And then I think we start in August.
we haven't, no, we did. Really? Do we
August,
have-
September 8th, September 22nd, October.
Well, if we can do them, then let's do them.
November 10th, and I haven't sent the rest to you. I didn't
Well,
want
let's-
to overwhelm you.
All right, let's look at it.
Actually, I think,
Can we do any of them?
I think that October 11th is actually approved, but Peg had made a note that she wanted to change something, so I had those set aside.
Okay.
So actually, we need to start with September.
Okay. So we have meeting minutes.
I would be really happy.
Okay, so myself, Peg, Nikki, Stu, and Julianne were present. This is for Monday, September 8th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as printed?
Who seconded it?
Okay, I just wanna look at it.
I fucking did these.
If I
Oh,
was
I
here,
just
I'd
sent them to you about 12 times.
Maybe that's.
I think you've probably read them, maybe, at least twice. Maybe that's why they look
If
familiar.
I was here, I'd read them, so.
Right, I second it.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, got one approved.
Thank you.
One look at them?
Yeah, I'll look when, you can sign it.
Okay.
Okay, you have meeting minutes for Monday, September 22nd. Myself, Peg, Nikki, Stu, and Julian. Is there a motion to approve as printed? Okay, you want to pass them?
Oh,
Pass them down to
okay,
me
you don't wanna
afterwards.
read them?
No, I know I've read them.
All right.
Kim, I have a question that maybe you know the answer to.
Okay.
Circuit breaker refund,
Reimbursement.
reimbursement.
I'll make a motion for this set of meetings on the 22nd.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Sandy just asked me, I don't think you're gonna know the true reimbursement rate until at least after the house.
So, Senate, when the Senate comes out though,
Thank you.
Officially, yeah, but I mean, you'd get an idea of where they were going.
and that's next Monday? The House is next Monday?
No, that's not until April.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's not until mid-April.
I thought the House,
Usually around April vacation.
budget was March and then the Senate was.
No, it's typically April vacation.
What is it in March that we usually ask them for the minimum, we ask them for a resolution for
Mhm.
minimum?
Yeah.
Have you read
Yeah.
these? Yes, I make a motion for the October 27th minutes. Anybody want to
I
second?
second them.
Everybody was there?
Yep. Yep.
All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay.
I don't think we can do these because there were 4 of us in Stu as well, so we can't do that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Stuart, sorry, Stuart, Corey, yeah, I'm just checking from previous years, it's April for the House, usually the middle of the month.
Any word on a minimum
Nothing,
desired resolution?
I called both our rep and senator last week, and I'm waiting to hear back, just, not for combined resolution, but just a sense from them, are the governor's numbers realistic, or should we just be continuing to be level funding?
And what did they say?
Yeah, I haven't got anything back.
I know that in years past, I mentioned this to Charlie last week when we heard the governor's numbers, that typically on a normal budget year, whenever the governor would
Karen?
show.
Which one are you holding?
November 10th and June 23rd.
June 23rd?
Yeah, we need Stu
We
here.
need Stu.
All right, I make a motion to approve the November 17th minutes.
Okay, we were all present.
Aye.
You want to second it, Peg?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Do you want me to finish
Yeah.
explaining it? Okay, so typically what we would do is we would take only half of what the governor said we would get in an increase, and
Yeah.
that's what we would budget. But in this particular year, because we are really concerned about the governor's budget in the sense of there's not a lot of answers of how he's gonna balance all these things,
yep.
that it may not be realistic to the House and the Senate, they want to support this kind of a budget. So I don't know that we should do anything but continue to go through the budget season level funding, state aid. I mean, you can take half of it, you know, like I said, but I don't know. I know we're in a deficit, and so it'd be a lot easier to just kind of depend on that, but if it doesn't come
Well, the
through,
state's in the deficit
then we're
too.
really in a big.
So, you have the increased state aid.
I put in the new number. I'll cut it down if you want me to.
It's up to
or
you guys.
So what's the
Bring it
committee's
back down.
feeling? Should we level
When-
funds?
I'm sorry, I think I may have missed it, but when do we expect it?
April, it will be, I don't expect you to have anything officially from the House until after we go to press.
So does it make sense for us to just level fund? Even though that we know that it could create a larger deficit for us to deal with? Or do we feel that the governor's budget is realistic? With the increases that he has in there? It's a
I think it would be difficult for the legislature in this day and age to cut the governor's budget. Politically speaking, he's a new governor. He said he'd help out the cities and towns, so it's not that much money anyway. It's only about $20,000.
The difference?
well, it's also the Chapter 70 funding too.
Well, that's what I mean.
Well, there's a decent,
Oh, I didn't even look at the other one.
Then you could do half, you could meet in the middle.
it was 3.6% increase to unrestricted local aid and 2.4% increase to Chapter 70, or inversed those. I thought, it's a $20 increase per child,
Right.
and I thought that was the 2.4 number. I don't know, hold on, I have it here.
Well, for chapter 70, basically, we've got, I don't know, it's not even 4%, maybe 3.5% from chapter 70 increase. Why is that included? What was that? Oh, the charts. And, 29,000, so 3.75%, 3.5% for the unrestricted general aid. What was funny, of course, is that we were just talking about the veterans benefits and we keep going up, but the reimbursement keeps going up too. So we actually, you know, it's still a loser for us in reality, but we're getting more money from that. I think we got another $10,000 or $11,000.
Yeah, so our veterans benefits went from 88.4 to 104, almost 6, so. Yeah.
But
it went
that's
up.
really, but that really is the only,
Well, charter school, what was it? I mean, we lost $10,000 in charter tuition reimbursement, for instance. So, I mean, the bottom line is we went up $57,000, which is maybe 1.5%
Yeah.
overall for state aid.
so. 2711657. The governor's proposal previous was 2699817. So it's less than 20 grand.
And what numbers do we have in there right now, the higher number or the
Right
lower?
now, Sandy just put the higher number in.
I put the governor's budget in.
And it's unrestricted local aid from the governor's budget is 836,822. Last year was 807,743. So
So about 30,000 ballpark.
29,000. So do we feel that I don't know. I think the unrestricted local aid is more available for them to change than the chapter 70 numbers. I don't see the legislature changing the chapter 70 number, but I would see them changing the local aid number.
I went away from it for a while, but I would use the budget they sent us. We're in trouble anyway.
No, I know, but the problem is if they don't, would you rather ask people to make all the cuts now, right, and be $20,000 that we can bring back?
That's not my choice. My choice is that I think that local aid will come through, as they said. And if not, we can make it up through estimated receipts, because we always budget low with estimated receipts. I know, Sandy.
That's why I looked, 'cause I wanted to. You took that really well.
I would rather not, but if we absolutely have to, you know, to fund the budget, to fund a department that's important, I don't know what we're gonna do. We're already going to be cutting budgets that we really might not wanna cut.
But the only problem is if you count on it and you don't have it, then you're gonna have to go back.
Well, that's my question is it better to make the cuts now, and in May, if we find out that the
Mr. Chairman, it's up to you. Your call.
level fund them
Okay.
Level fund from what?
last year?
All right.
I would just put an asterisk on that, the veterans,
Yep.
that will come through.
Yeah,
So
Well,
we can take
that's
that.
a
Okay,
reimbursement.
well, I'd level fund chapter 70 and level
And,
fund
unrestricted.
unrestricted.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are the two
Yep.
items that
And you're level funding both.
yeah.
except for veterans. Except for veterans benefits.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna,
We're also gonna take the loss on the charter, we have to
Yeah.
put in there.
the loss in the charge, we're also gaining another $10,000 for exemptions to veterans and the elderly, and I would take that in.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, chapter 70 and unrestricted general government aid, leave alone.
What line does the charter stuff, does that go through school?
And it
Like,
comes
so
to,
do we have students who are in charter schools? And where is that money going through? Does it go through the school?
We never see
budget?
it.
Oh, it doesn't even come to the town?
No,
Right, goes to-
happens is that the actual tuition money goes to the charter school, under whatever
From
formula.
us or from the state?
Basically, it gets subtracted from our cherry sheet even
Oh,
before we
okay.
see it.
Okay,
That's what it basically comes down to.
okay.
But the charter school reimbursement is a percentage of what's being sent to that charter school. And that level, that amount drops as the years go by, as that person is in that charter school.
Okay. It affects us, it's just behind the scenes, so we don't see it affect us.
okay. Anything else before we hear a Stu's motion? Does anyone think of anything else that we need to be aware of? The only item that I didn't see on the capital list that we got tonight was the school roof,
The elementary school.
elementary school roof.
We haven't gotten any capital, official capital requests from the school yet.
Okay.
It's the hops.
They end their meetings hopping around.
So, can you put the capital plan on the list as well to meet with them? We said we were gonna try to meet with them once each month, starting in January.
Alright,
Anything else?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone.